Om Shri Gurubhyo Paramagurubhyo Srimadanandatirtha Bhagavatpadacharya Namo Namaha Narayana Paripurna Gunarnavaya Visvodaya Stititolaya Nidhi Prataya Jnana Prataya Vibhuda Sura Saukya Dukka Satkaranaya Vidadaya Namo Namaste Yo Vipralimba Viparita Mati Prabhudan Vadan Rasyakritavan Bhuvitattvavatam Sarveswaro Haririti Pratipatakam Tam Anandatirthamunivaryam Namami Bujjaya Raghavendraya Satyadharmarataya Cha Pajatam Kalpavrikshaya Namatam Kamadhenave Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadidamastu Ma Vishvidavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome, friends. And we are continuing the Kathopanishad after a break of a week. I think we will be trying to catch up, with the last two mantras which are still to be completed in the last adhyaya. That is the second adhyaya, third chapter. That is the sixth chapter of the finality, the ultimate chapter of the Kathopanishad. We have come into being. Yata sarve prabhudyanti hritayastota grantayah. We have seen, because last three mantras, they give cogently into how the development of entire our development, our dimensional uh, attainment, where, we will be able to transcend beyond the body, mind, and intellect. And what is the process? That process has been beautifully and synchronically, because chronologically described in the last three mantras. It starts with mantra number 15, which we have already seen. Yata sarve prabudyanti hritayastota grantayah. From, because there are three granthas, three knots that is there, in our thinking, in our mind. In the mind, we have created the knot because we talked about, it is being philosophically in the scriptures referred to the Brahma Granthi and Rudra Granthi and Vishnu Granthi. The three granthis are the knots that has created the entire complexities of our thoughts. Finally, because preventing us from getting the clarity which is required for us to evolve. Because that is not happening. Because we are just been having these knots. These knots will have to be tied up. They are untied because it has tied up. Over a period of time. It has accumulated all these sort of desires, all the sort of possessions, and what we do not want to give it up, all our idiosyncrasies, our habits, everything has come into being as a knots. Unless these knots are untied, unless these knots are shattered, we will not be able to evolve. That's why they talked about this knot. Adaha matyo amurto bhavanti etavat anushasan. Once you are able to shatter these knots, once you are able to untie the knots, it is like a guardian knot, which we talked about. Guardian knot, because normally we refer to in normal day to day, because when we talk about, because it is the guardian knot. Guardian knot is the very complex which we are not able to get through, which is taking us to a dead end, because we are not able to get past that. That is called the guardian knot. There is a story. There was an emperor, the guardian, because he has tied the knots and asked anyone, who can just untie the knot. He gave a challenge. Everyone tried, they couldn't. Finally, the Alexander the Great, who knows only the strength and, because the ability to fight, he knows only that. He came and he sharpened his arrows and he sent out his arrows to shatter all the three knots, all the guardian knot. So then the knot got shattered, and then finally he was considered to be the one who achieved the untying the knot. Likewise, in our scriptures, when they said, you've got three knots in your mind, in your thinking, in the process of your evolution, because your body, mind, and intellect, it has created, body has created a knot, the mind has created a knot, and the intellect has created a knot. All the three knots, because these are all, because we have made our own restrictions. This is the knot, because we are not open to the energy that is coming to us. We have not put our antenna sharp enough to get the universal energy coming into us and taking us to the highest path. We have blocked it. How the blockage has happened, because we have created the knot. We have created the knot in the body, in the sense, because we have created our restrictions, because I will not be able to function without this, and I will not be comfortable without this. And if I have to live in a place and I need all these things, once you say, because when you are open, when you are not open-minded, because the early days in the Stone Age too, when the civilization, when the man has evolved, he has gone through all the process. He has lived with everything. He has accepted whatever has come in his way. He has found a way out to just overcome the hurdles, and then he has gone about it. Having gone through that, finally, we want, because a hurdleless life without any obstruction. That is what we think, that is a happy, cushy life, what we call it. Because once you are trying in that process, what you happen, you put your own restrictions. You will be able to live in such conditions only. You will be able to happy only in such conditions. You will only be able to sort of get through and do the things, only if all these things are available. So once you have put the conditions, you have created a knot. Unless once you are have created a knot, you have created your own sort of a restrictions. You will not be able to evolve. So that means, because once you have a lot of comfort zones around you, and once you have so many comfort zones, around you, that you will not be able to get through. And because any small discomfort, even some sort of a even if it is not, because for a minute, if it happens, even if for a minute, if the power goes off, I will not be able to live without AC. In the sense, when the power goes off, AC will not work. But you will have to live with, whatever other fan, or open the windows and try to be there and all. You will have to find a way out. But you can't only say, unless without AC is there, and I will not be able to live. So, like putting our conditions, these conditions have happened, because we have created our own. Each one of us have got our own comfort zones. The Upanishad says, as long as you are a comfort zones, it is against your development. It is against your evolution. It is against your accessing the full potential. It is again getting into the best possible, because you are capable of doing so much, which you are not able to do it, because you have created the restrictions. The restrictions have happened because of the comfort zone we have created around us. So the comfort zone around the body, because that becomes, because that you can call it Brahma Granthi. And the comfort zone of our mind, we can call it Rudra Granthi, because mind, Rudra is supposed to be the master of the mind. So when you are able to, when you are having a clarity of the mind, and you have got Shivoham, Shivoham, when he says, you have got the full clarity. So you have become not, I have become a Shiva, and by sort of repeating yourself, affirmating, telling the affirmation, you don't get the full clarity. You will have to get that highest bliss. Shiva, in the sense, it is the highest bliss. How the highest bliss will come, when you are opened up. Like a lotus, when on the sun rays falls on that, and the lotus opens up, it just blossoms. Like that, you blossom out, you do not have any restrictions. You are able to get the full energy of the sun's rays. That is what, that means, because you are able to create, because all those bondages, which is created, all the possessiveness that has come about in your mind, once you give up all those things, you may have possessions. The possessiveness is the one, which creates all those things. And once this possessiveness, because prevents you from doing, how am I to, I will have to have possession, have the possessions, but don't have a possessiveness. Possessiveness in the sense, tomorrow if it goes, you should not feel miserable. And the possessiveness, and without it I can't live, but that is a comfort zone. So because when you have both, it becomes the possessiveness personified. Then you will not be able to get through. That puts the restrictions. But at the same time, because it's not to give up the possession, not renounce the possession, have the possessions, but don't have the possessiveness. So likewise, because when you created the bondage, also have those things, but don't have a comfort zone created. You should be able to live, because anything can happen. In Venezuela, because suddenly the earthquake has come, suddenly the thousands of people have just vanished in no time. The country is already undergoing, because it is not something which is again piled upon. So once they have got, already we have got enough, how am I, because we should be at least live with this. You can't say like that, because nature plays its role. Nature can't wait for, the time and tide wait for no man. So the nature also doesn't wait, to manifest itself. It manifests in its forms, it comes like that. When these things come, because then finally, we'll have to find a way out, how to overcome, because how to get through that. Even if you are in earthquake zone, you will have to find a way out, how am I to, even if you have survived, how to survive and make others survive. That's what, the only thing we can do, which is in your hand. You can't talk about, all those things you have possessed, the big house, and because nothing is there once the earthquake has come. So therefore, once you are opened up, you will be able to have the clarity to move forward. If you are not able to move forward, because what is the evolution? Because when you are able to move forward, because when you don't have the possessiveness, when you don't have the comfort zones created around you, and finally, because it is come Brahma, Vishnu Granthi, when it comes the intellect, when the intellect opens up in always, because it gives the possibilities for you to go ahead. It doesn't say, because the doors are not closed. Once the one door closed, there are 1,000 doors open that you are not able to see. You are blindfolded. You are not, because privy to that so many doors which is opening in front of you. If you are restricting yourself with your comfort zones, as well as, because the what you have created, because with all your the possessiveness and the bondages you have created. Finally, the bondages when you remove, because even the Vishnu Granthi goes off. You are living with everything and all, because suddenly everything is gone out. You are left alone, all alone, because in Scotch land, you will have to still find a way out, how to go about it, because there will be so many other creatures. They are also left high and dry. So therefore, it is not that, because it's not a doomsday prediction. It is a sort of a blueprint to go ahead and achieve what is possible, in every circumstance. That is what it says. The life is about to, because the flow, you should be able to move through the undulated learn, and you will be able to fall through the valleys, and you will be able to climb through the difficult terrains, and finally you will have to flow through, finally, perhaps, before merging into the confluence at the ocean front, when you are going to be part of it, because you should be able to have, then finally you will be able to reach. But if you are creating restrictions everywhere, you will not be able to flow. You will not be able to achieve, finally get the salvation into joining the ocean, as has been, beautifully written by, because the various masters. The finally you will not be able to achieve the finest bliss, that you are entitled, which is your birthright, because all these restrictions. How these restrictions, when we said, because we talked about three granthis, and then these three granthis, once it shank, because how it is being denoted in our scriptures, even in our rituals, how it is being, because all the three things are called avidya, kama, and karma. What is avidya? Because we have seen avidya enough from Aesop, say Upanishad onwards. We have got, because Kenopanishad we have seen, and the Manduko Upanishad, it has given all the three stages of waking stage, dream stage, and finally, because the deep sleep stage. And from there, finally, even to the Turiya stage, the fourth stage. When all these stages, finally, you go into, you are in the lap of, the final power who has created it. And finally, when you are there, you do not have any sort of a anxieties. You do not have any pleasures to seek for. You do not have any bliss, personified. You have got everything has gone. Finally, you are that final zone, where the finest possible happiness is there. Finest possible happiness is when you don't have anything to do, when you don't have to have the possession. Because in fact, there is a very famous Shankaracharya, has created, one Kaupina Panchakam, he has created one thing. And Kaupina Panchakam is a loin cloth. Loin cloth in the sense Mahatma Gandhi chose to be in a loin cloth, because, having been, fully dressed as a barrister in London, when he came here and he saw the, because he has been told by his masters, the Gopalakrishna Gokhale and Balagangadhar Tilak, because he took the inspiration from them. He went through the country, he saw how people live, because then he saw, what is the reality of living. It's not that, what we think, that is the reality of living by seeing, others and, emulating them. After seeing that, he said, finally the best, bliss is, to be in the loin cloth. So Shankaracharya has created that Kapina Panchakam. He is in the Kapinavantaha Kalubhagyavantaha. He says the one who is in a lion cloth, he is the highest sort of a blissful person, who has been granted the highest bliss by the Almighty. It's not that, you should be devoid of all possession in the sense. Your possessiveness should go off. Like we could still be in, because in that mentality we can be there, even if we have all the possessions or all the comforts available, but you are not wedded to these comforts. You can live without those comforts. The comforts, because the Tamil word for the wealth and comforts is selvam. Selvam in the sense, what it says, sel means going. Selvam in the sense, I am on the way out. When you say wealth, wealth is on the way out. Comfort in the sense, comfort is on the way out. So it is on the way, because as long as you hold on to that, you will not be able to go. But it is already telling, I am going out. That is the word in Tamil. So anyone who understands, they say, you just stadium or need selvam. It is one of the greatest scriptures of Tamil says, it is always going. Once you allow it to go, then you are a blissful person. But if you hold on, you are not that. That is why the avidya is the one, because all the worldly possessions and all, the utility of it. You have enjoyed the utility of it. To understand the point of utility of that, once you understand that, because once the clarity comes, yes, these are all the ephemeral, because they come and go, because you will not be able to have, you will not be able to enjoy the same comforts, which you are enjoyed in 20 years. At the same time, in 80 years, you can't enjoy the same comforts, because your body is, because you may have the desires may be provoked, but the performance will be taken away, because you will not be able to, because you can't enjoy the same comforts. You will not, even the facilities available, you will not be able to. You will have to go with what is available, what is possible. So once that, because it's the mind which creates, because with this, I should be able to happy. Once the mind becomes free, when the body becomes free, from the comfort zones, then avidya is the one. Once you understand, yes, all these are ephemeral, and because as it comes, I will do whatever is available, and I will go with that. So whatever little comfort that is required, which I am able to get through, that is okay. I will not be able to seek something, which is not required and which is not possible for me. Possible for this body, mind, and intellect to understand and enjoy that. At this point of time, what is possible, I will do that. So once you have that, that avidya goes off. Avidya is no highest bliss is, finally you have to go through the flow of life. Whatever be the life, because it takes you to sort of a highest ebbs, and finally it drops down into the depth of distress. And finally, it also gives the moments of pleasure and joy. And you will not be taken in by everything, you will all be, going through that, and you will all be watching that, you will all be well and undergoing the emotions, happy emotions, distressful emotions, but you will not be wedded to those emotions. They will all be going off. As it goes off, then finally, when you get into that, that is the highest avidya. And because of that, kama comes the desire. Desire is the mind created, because the possibility of enjoyment and the possibility of bondage and the possibility of holding on to, because which gives you status and, because the prestige and power in the society. So once you are not wedded to that kama, from avidya, from the ignorance, that is in fact the lack of right knowledge, the desires comes, then karma. Based on that, your actions are based on that. So, but if in place of avidya, you had avidya, in place of, with the karma, because, you become nishkama karma, because without any attachment, once you do that, that karma will be sat karma. Kurvate karmayat pritaye sajjanaha. Once you do such action, that going to be not only beneficial to you, it is going to be beneficial for everyone around. And, because that is because you are not bothered about your own selfish interest, you are doing it what is in front of you, which is, because which is up to your, with your ability and sort of a strength which you have, which you possess. To that extent, you will be doing it. When you are doing, that is good enough. If you live the life, that is more than enough. That's what Upanishad says. Having done that, because once you do that, what happens? The next mantra says satam che eka hridayastha nadyaha, because there are 101 satam che eka, 101 nerve nodes are there are more energy pathways are there in the body. When the 101 energy pathways, there are most important energy pathways. There are million energy pathways in the body. When you are having, because when you are breathing, and finally the breath creates, because prana, apana, vyana, samana, udana, samana, and, because brahmana, but finally, all those things are creating, the balance in your body and all. There are so many sort of, because the energy pathways are, but 101 pathways are very important. They are the one finally takes you to the truth. In fact, the great masters, because in order to understand the 101 energies, they have asked us to assume there are lightning pathways, through our spinal cord from the Muladhara chakra, because when it goes through, and through the spinal cord is the one, because which is linking all the chakras to your Sahasrara. So when it sinks to the Sahasrara, from the Muladhara, when it comes to the Swadhisthana, from Swadhisthana, because finally it comes, because above, and finally it is coming to the Anahata, because heart chakra, then finally it comes to the throat chakra. From there into come to the Agnya chakra. From there, it goes to the Sahasrara. So when you are able to the 101 pathways, taking it as the lightning pathways through your spinal cord, and when you focus on that, when you are doing the yoga, because the Kathopanishad is also sort of a manifestation of the yogic practices. So once you do that, what happens? Because finally all the energies are synchronized. When they are in the same wavelength, same frequency, it all goes through the central pathway. The central pathway, because which is that is what has been decaying. The Destanatyaha sta yesam, one particular one out of the 101. Some murdan abhinibi shrutaha, the one which penetrates and go through the sahasrara, that is eka, that is sahasra, through that, because that is sushmana nadi, we call it. The sushmana nadi, through which finally the energy is focused, synchronized, and finally through the all those, the pathways, the energy goes through that. You don't have any avidya. You don't have, you have already shattered all these sort of a granthis, all the knots you have shattered. So once you have shattered avidya, kama, karma, you will be living like anyone, but without any sort of attachment, without any comfort zone, without any sort of seeking, because something impossible, which is not required for your body, mind, and intellect at this point of time. So once you have that, then finally you do that, you focus on that. What happens is you only think of the final good, because which is going to come out of that, that is going to be flowing into the universe, into, because that's what is going to come out of that Sahasrara. That's what, we also said in how Purusha Suktam has described the Sahasrara. Sahasra Sisa Purusha Sahasrashat Sahasrabad Sabhuvim Visvato Vritva Atyadishta Zatangulam. That is about 6 inches above, because which each one of us, whatever the finger, because we have got two dots, you will be seeing in your fingers. That is called one angulam, that the sangulam. The 10, because there's such a distance, between these. Above that, the sahasrara is. It is not on the head. It pierces through the head and goes to the sahasrara. And when it goes that, finally you attain the salvation. No question of again the birth and death, coming through the cycle of, because the birth and death and coming into this world and all, that question doesn't arise. If at all it comes, it must be for the great purpose, because to bring in, because a lot of people out of their miseries and all, it will happen only the great masters. They all come into this world. They have one sent into this world to bring about, so many people out of their misery. That is what it is called. And then taya urdhvam mayan amrtatvam yeti, the one, because tasa murdana abhinashriti eka, through that sushmana only it is. Then taya urdhvan ayan amrtatvam yeti. Once it goes through that, once you have no question of life and death, and once you don't have any comfort zones, once you don't have any knots to be shattered, all of them have been already untied and gone out of your mind, body, and intellect. Body, mind, and intellect. Once it has gone out of all these things, there is nothing to be done. You get into the highest, that is what the immortality. Immortality is nothing but you don't have to be a mortal again. Your mind will not get into the mortal ways of the thinking. Your body will not get into the mortal ambitions and the mortal comfort zones. Your intellect, will not be going into the mortal way of, seeking the pleasures and, because discriminating between the pleasure and pain and all of them becomes, because universal. You become dispassionate. Nothing matters to you. This is not mattering anything. Being beyond that, that becomes Vishwakanya Ukramane Bhavanti. The others, because Vishwakanya, because if you are not able to get that, what happens? If I am not able to focus and bring the energy to that, then it becomes, because Urdhvam, it is always towards an upwards, elevation. Upanishad is what? Elevating ourselves. Upaha, Upari Nishadaha. When you, instead of going out, then you are dissipating. Vishwa Kanya, because otherwise, if it doesn't go after, because the entire energy get dissipated, you got, because unfulfilled desires, and because unattained comfort zones, and then, because still, because the possessive, possessions, which you still long, but you are not got, all those things which comes, you are still embroiled in avidya, kama, karma. Why they are putting, because 3 lines, because the Advaitic, because, or what is the symbol of that? It is avidya, kama, karma, 3 symbols, that they taking out, by thinking about the ultimate Brahman and becoming Aham Brahmasmi, what they say, because the Mahavakya that's being talked about. Once you say I am that, because I am beyond that avidya, kama, karma. I want to take out that is the three lines, the horizontal lines that is being drawn about is just to go about that avidya, karma. Whereas others, because like the Vaishnavites, they put, because the one, which is going upwards, that is Urdhva Pundaram. The Urdhva Pundaram is just taking the energy from Muladhara to Swadhisthana, and because Manipura, Swadhisthana, and Anahata, and then you three were because throat chakra and Agnya chakra and Sahasrara. That's what you are taking. Urdhva Pundara. Urdhva Pundara, the purpose is to taking the energy upwards. And the avidya kama karma is the removing, because all the dissipation horizontal. That's why you put the horizontal lines. Otherwise, let me not be horizontal. Without not being horizontal, I becomes, because vertical. And, because my energy becomes vertical path, I am able to flow without any sort of obstruction. There is nothing, blockade that is there, to hold me along. I am able to still go through. This is what, the chronologically they have brought. How, you will have to shatter the granthis, how you will have to have the knots. Once the knots have been removed, what are all those knots, how it has been removed. Finally, when the energy is being focused into the central lightning path, through that, which has been, the masters have assumed, like, with the Paramahamsa Yogananda as well as Swami Vivekananda in their respective waves. They said to understand, this Sushmana Nadi, they said this is the way, you can understand it better. The Sushmana Nadi, even otherwise, can be understood. It is more to be experienced than to be expressed. But once you are fully focused, once you are not having any sort of a cudgels, in your thinking, the clarity holds. When you are full of clarity, what happens? The body, mind, and intellect, so enthralled. Finally, you get into that, and when you close your eyes, because you are not able to see anything. But as I was narrating the story of the Arabindo, when he was about to be, because finally given the punishment of, the gallows in the Alipur murder case, when he was seeing everyone appeared to be Narayana. The judge appeared to be Narayana, even a prosecutor appeared to be Narayana, his own defense lawyer appeared to be Narayana. Even the one, who was beaten him up, because in the confinement, appeared to be Narayana. Everyone appeared to be Narayana in the sense he was into that final enthrallment where, he has gone into this because he is not able to differentiate. All are same. It is that, because it is because, you will not be able to live in the world, with that. But when you are going out of this, because the worldly pleasures and pains and possessions, then only you will be able to. It's more to be sort of a experience than to be expressed. That is why Upanishad says, because, Utkramane Bhavanti, the others that have different directions become them sort of dissipate themselves. Cause of, because, you become, again a cause for birth and a cause for the death. If there is a birth, there will have to be a death. And then, because if you are so sort of attached to comfort zones and, your own sort of possessions, and, you are not able to give up, because, what is likely to happen, you are having kleshas, because always wondering about what is the worst is to come. The doomsday, because mindset comes, when you are not having all those sort of, the dispossessions. If you are dispossessed, if you are dispassionate, then only, because you will not be able to have all those things. Otherwise, you will always be wondering if it happens, if it goes down, if it goes not well, if it fails, you will go on thinking like that. But nothing to fail, because when you got nothing to sort of seek, where is there to fail? And you already got everything. You are becoming, you are trying to become deserving to what you are already having, than to seek, what you are not knowing. So therefore, to understand, to become ourselves deserving to what we have and enjoy what we have and try to do best out of that, that is the life. That is the flow of life. The Upanishad brought it, and, because finally the next mantra also, we saw that, because we are going to see, because we have just recited this, and that is going to be the final sort of a ultimate, it is the pinnacle of the entire knowledge of the Kathopanishad. It is going to come. This mantra says it is the 2.3.17. It is in your page 142 of the document I have sent. This Angushta Matra Purusho Antaratma. The one whose life force inside you is thumb size. Why it is saying some thumb size? Thumb size is a figurative scriptural representation of the life force in us, because it is thumb size. But then, because the thumb is different from all the four fingers. Without thumb, because when Ekaleva, when he gave, as a Guru Dakshina, what is it? Without thumb, he can't do anything. Like without thumb, thumb size that has been given, because without him, this body cannot move, the mind cannot think, the intellectual cannot, the intellect cannot perceive what is right, can't discriminate. This is exactly, that's why thumb says Urdhvamulam Adoshakam, because that is what, because our sort of our Vishnu Suktam also says Urdhvamulam Adoshakam, because that is finally the lotus. Finally, when it goes, Adoshakam, when it goes, finally is the thumb size inside. He is the one guiding. It is a figurative. Thumb size in the sense, as your thinking goes up every time. When you are becoming evolved every time and all, the thumb size, it becomes, you also grow. Every time, thumb size is in proportion to your growth. It is giving you, it is enabling you to do that. It is the trigger, because thumb is the trigger. Even if you have to fire a gun, you need the thumb. You have to send an arrow, you need the thumb. Like finally it does. If your fingers are able to move, if my mouth is able to perform, if your tongue is able to cooperate, and finally able to talk, it is because of the thumb size. If the thumb size determine one day, because boss, you have talked enough, because then, because all will be, what I'm talking will be wobbling. You will not be able to see. It will all be a sort of a disquieting, because you will not find any meaning out of that. You will not make any sense of that. That sense is coming. It is the grace of the tongue. Angushta matro purusho antaratma sada jananam hritayasi sannivishta. He is inside your heart. So because in the lotus of, in your heart, finally he is in the center. He is giving sannivishta. He is there. But have you ever tried to find from him? But you are going to so many sort of yogas, so many, sort of your meditation programs, so many other things you think, because finally you get the salvation from there. But finally you are not, all those things are to enable you to see the inside what is there. Sannivishtaha, each one of us are having. But we are not bothered about it. Upanishad brings it back. Sada Jananam Hridayaste, all persons everywhere, irrespective of the fact, all creatures. Jananam Hridayaste Sannivishtaha. That is, once you know that, that's why, because great Bharati, because when he said, everyone was going to so many temples. This is the Thursday, Monday I will go to this temple. Monday I will go to the Murugan temple, and Tuesday I will go to Shiva temple, and then Wednesday I will go to this temple. Thursday I will go to the Sai Baba. Friday I will go to the Mahalakshmi temple. Saturday I will go to the Vishnu, because of the Srinivasa, because of the great Tirupati temple, and I will go, we go on, and Sunday, I will go to Surya Narayana temple. So we will have, because we may have all these things. But finally, we have not found, because the deity inside us, we are the temple. That is what in Isavasha Upanishad, because the very first. Yeah, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮಾಡ್ಲಾ ಇದು? Isavasha Upanishad, we have said Isavashyam, Isavashyam, and he said, when Isavashyam says the body is the temple. He is residing in your temple. But to be, a temple, you will have to have all the qualities of a temple. He can't live in a gutter. He can't live in, some place which is all dirty. He has to live in a place which is pure. What does it mean? You are the pure-minded. Your body is pure. Your intellect is pure. Isavashyam idagam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena chaktena bunjitaha makrita kasyasvidhanam. When he says, because he's the one, everywhere, and he's there, everywhere. And once you do, he's also inside you. And first you see him, because you are doing all other things finally to realize who is inside you. That is the final, that is what, final culmination. Once you understand that, the culminated, because understanding of this is the the power, which I have understood, which is in me, which has blinded me all this while I am not able to see that. That is going to be the ultimate knowledge. So therefore, Sata Jananam Hridayaste Sannivishtaha Tam Svat Sharirat Paravrihita. Tam Svat, one should separate him. One, because you cannot be able to, just because you are inside, it doesn't become part and parcel of you. He is part and parcel of you, but he is separate. He doesn't contaminated by your avidya kama karma. He's not contaminated by your knots. He's the one separate. He is giving you the power. He is the power, he is the electricity. No, you are only a machine. And when with the electricity you are operating, you don't become an electricity. The electricity is different from the machine. The laptop is different from electricity. Laptop is different from the battery. If the energy is not there, laptop will not operate. If the electricity is not there, laptop will be operate. So he is the one who is giving the power. The power stops, you stop. That is exactly you should understand. Sata Jananam Hridayastes Samsvat Sharirat Pravirehata, because he is separate. You should not think, just because Aham Brahmasmi doesn't mean I am the God. Because he is inside me, I am also God. But you have got all the sort of the dirt in you, all the contamination in you. You are coagulated, with all the stains in you. But because you can't, because stay in him. He is beyond that. He is, because you have to live in a lotus like in the in the world, so that you will be able to get that purity. He is a lotus in you, because he doesn't get stained. We may be a muddy water. The lotus may be in the muddy water, but he is the one who gives the energy. He is the electricity. He is the power. The moment it stops, because fingers may not work, the eyes may not see, the ears may not hear. You become a cadaver, and we can't be celebrating the cadaver. Only a person is being identified when he is the body, mind, intellect, and mobile. So that is exactly it has brought about. Swacha Sharirat Pravirite Munjat Iva Ishikam Dhairyan. We'll see in very many details next week. I will just give you briefly Munjat. Munjat, in the sense, there is a Upanayanam ceremony is there, because all brahmacharis. It is not only Brahmin, because there are so many other communities also there. In fact, in Vedic times, everyone was having that. Even Treta Yoga, everyone was having this. It is called, because so that you become from because entitled to understand the scriptural knowledge. So when the Upanayanam, when the brahmachari is, because ordained, because with the Upanayanam, the Januva, when they put it, it is called, because they will be having finally grass, made of, the grass, which is, because it's not the ordinary grass. It is the grass, which is grown separately, for the ritualistic purposes. It is called munja. The munja is the one tied around the hip of, every brahmachari when he is being ordained, with an Upanishad. In fact, in the Kannada, the very word for Upanayanam is munji. Munji, in the sense, the munja is being tied around. And what is that munja? Munja is like a wild grass, but not the wild grass that is growing elsewhere and all. It is special type of on riverbeds and all. And if you see the grass, inside there is a stalk. It is like a greenish. The stalk is, because like is the power, because we are all like, the outward cover. So, because he is inside, through that we are outward cover. We don't become the stalk. So he is the stalk. Once you understand the stalk is different from the cover, of the grass. It is bringing a so beautiful an example, which is otherwise not possible in any other scriptures. It is also bringing about munja eva ishikam dhairyena. Ishikam is the one outward cover. Munja is the stalk. Ishikam dhairyena. Dhairyena, this is courage. Courage to give up the shedding. So then you are able to see that the stalk, he says, and normally the stalk is such a, it has got such a power. In those days, if people used to eat only the stalk, they can live without food for several days. In fact, because in the rishis and all, because when they used to have, do these oblations, with this, finally, even sometimes we feel, because in order to see not to be, hungry and to be, getting into dissipate in this world, they used to take this stop. This is, of course, no one has tried. And this is what, because in earlier days, in Vedic days, our great masters have tried. And some of the current masters have also attempted and they have given this knowledge to us. So Munjati, why is she come? You should be able to separate, and he is separate. He is not good, but he is the one who gives. Once you understand that, what happens? Tam vidyat shukritam amritam. Once you have got this much knowledge, you become. He one should know pure and immortal. Once you have got this knowledge, you have become pure. You have become immortal. Tam vidyat shukritam amritam. Tam vidyat shukritam amritam iti. This is only this. This only, you have become pure, immortal once you have got that. This is the knowledge you have got that. That is, once it repeats the same word, tam vidyat shukritam amritam, tam vidyat shukritam amritam iti, in the sense it is a convention that Upanishad is coming to an end. So that means this is the knowledge, nothing more I can give. And this is what I have given. What finally we have got, because just taking the knots out, taking the complexities of we have created, the mind created complexities, and because the comfort zone created complexities of the body, and the possessiveness created the complexities of the mind, and because finally because longing for because the possessions which because the discriminating power still to come because the intellect when it comes, these are all the knots. Once you are able to give, once you understand the wealth and all the health and all the comforts, they are all, as the great Tamil scripture has said, selvam, they are all going out. They are telling anything, the meaning of them, wealth is going out, and the meaning of the great pleasure and comfort is all going out. Gadi, bangla, this and that and all, because all going out. Finally, what is important? Jal, jungle and zameen. Jal, jungle and zameen, they are the more important. As long as it's there, when you are able to flow with this life without not going into because finally whatever is being created is out of the zameen, and Zal is the one who's enabled us. Zangal is the one which creates us, and the Zangal is the one which naturally we have not created. The God has created the Zangal, and the jungle because once you get into that, you become sustainable. You are all because immortal all through. You are not going to be a burden on anyone else. You are going to be a free-minded person. You are going to create much more much bigger lung. Nowadays we have got Milwaukee jungles that's being created all around. It is even a half a cent of a land you can create a jungle. That's what we are thinking from Japanese, because finally that what we have to create. It is, we will have to be creative enough because not dissipating enough. So once you are creative enough, you have become immortal. That is what you have become, pure and immortal. Nothing more is required. The Upanishad has brought you to the culmination of your highest pinnacle of possibilities. With this, we will end this today, and we will go into the detail next week. Sahana vavatu, sahana bunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahaihi, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विश्विदावहैः। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yes, madam, were you able to hear?
Yes, I was very, able to hear